Hello and welcome to Brain Upgrade. My name is Rajesh and I'm your host today. Intent of this video is to help you set up Kubernetes on your local computer. You may want to learn Kubernetes using your own cluster and experiment with different Kubernetes features, also to package and deploy your apps in Kubernetes, and observe their behavior and fine-tune your apps, plus experimenting with your apps before pushing things into production clusters. So these may be the possible reasons why you want to have local Kubernetes cluster. So while you can have a local as well as Kubernetes cluster on cloud using cloud machines, self-managed and managed by things like AWS, Google, Azure, and Red Hat. In this video, I will help you set up the cluster locally using Minikube, Kubectl, microKTS, and if time permits, kind as well. Okay, so before we get into the steps, let me explain you how the setup would be. We will first get virtual machine and we will use Vagrant to get the virtual machine, and we will use VirtualBox as provider for the Vagrant, and the box image that we'll be using is Bento Ubuntu. So the moment we get virtual machine up using Vagrant, then we will download Minikube libraries or Minikube package, and we'll also download Docker, and we will start Minikube using driver as Docker. The moment we use driver as Docker, a Docker container is created, and this Docker container is used at Kubernetes node, master node, for this Minikube cluster. So now let's get into execution mode. So these are the steps. I hope you have got VirtualBox and Vagrant installed. If not, first install these two. The links are provided in the description box. So once these two dependencies are ready, installed, then you can take this step. So this will create Minikube directory under temp, and then initializes this Vagrant box. So once Vagrant is initialized, you can see Vagrant file is created. Just update this file, go to this memory and change this memory to 4096. Uncomment these lines from this place. Yeah, the moment you update the memory and uncomment this particular section, now you can say Vagrant up. So now it is launching this Vagrant box. It's a virtual machine based on Bento Ubuntu image. Generally it takes a couple of minutes or so. Okay, now let us verify Vagrant status, and this default machine is up. let us SSH into this machine. Okay, so now we are inside the virtual machine. This is the Ubuntu box. The next step is to download Minikube package, and after that install this Minikube package. Once package is installed, we should also install Docker engine. So we'll be using Docker engine as the driver for Minikube cluster. Since we are doing this as inside our virtual machine, we'll not be using VirtualBox, we'll be using Docker as the driver. Okay, let us add the current user to the Docker group, and now we can start the Minikube. Yeah, since we got the virtual machine RAM as 4 GB, I did not specify this parameter. In a matter of like 3 to 5 minutes, it will download all the required components, cluster components. Okay, our Minikube cluster is installed, and now we can test it using this command. Okay, we can also set the alias as Minikube CTL. So get parts. Fantastic. Since we have cluster ready, let us take the next step by adding the ingress. Minikube has got many add-ons, so we can list those add-ons here. And one of the add-ons is the ingress add-on, so we'll enable the ingress add-on. And once this ingress add-on is enabled, then we'll deploy a sample app, hello app. Okay, so install. So now, before we deploy the sample app, let us also install the nginx on this virtual machine, background box, so that any request that we send from background box to Minikube cluster, it should route those requests to Minikube master IP, that is ingress controller. Now here we should make couple of changes. So here it should be the Minikube IP, and it should be the service port of ingress. Let's check that. So this is the Minikube IP, and if you see the service port, so this is the service port mapped to 80. Now let us change this. Then 168.49.2. Yeah, I think this is the one. Okay, so once we create this Kubernetes config file under nginx, we need to enable this config by using this command, by creating a link and sites available, and after that we need to reload the index, so that any request that we generate from this box, for example, say curl localhost or curl hello.planeupgrade.n, then these requests will be routed to the ingress controller that is running as part of the Minikube cluster. And if we deploy any service and expose that service via ingress, then request will be honored by our application. So now, right now application is not deployed, hence we see 404 not found. Now let us deploy one sample app. So this is the sample app will deploy. It's a simple hello world application. Okay, let us set the alias once again. Let me check what has gone wrong. Okay, let me set the alias once again. Minikube, kubectl. Okay, get nodes. Okay, now it's okay. Okay, so now let me deploy this app. Okay, it should be K, not the. Yep, it's created, and let me also expose the app. Now app is also exposed. The service is created. Now let me also create the ingress for app. I'm creating this ingress for the app. This is the URL that's being used, and this is the service mapping. So now if I say get ingress, so this address will be populated by the ingress controller shortly. So from the right-hand box, if we call this URL, we should get the response. Okay, you can see we got the response. So this address population may take some time, but at least the request routing is working immediately. So now we have set up the Minikube single node cluster, and we have set up the ingress controller, and any curl requests from the right-hand box are now being routed to our application via ingress controller.